Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of eHeroes. Today's eHero is Adam Witty, who is the founder CEO of Advantage Forbes Books, and also the new owner of GKIC, which is just plain exciting, I think. It's just a new chapter in the GKIC history. So welcome, Adam.
Rob, thank you so much for having me. What a great pleasure and honor it is to be with you.
You know, I think we all have a Dan Kennedy story. Dan
Yeah.
Kennedy is the guy who helped, came and basically started GKIC, with him and Bill Glazer. But, my Dan Kennedy story goes back to 1998. I met him at a Piranha marketing event, and I go to sit down at this conference table in between sessions. And, I saw this kind of, older gentleman. I sit down, and he's a grumpy guy. And I said, mind if I sit here? No, go ahead. I have no idea who he is, what he's about. But within about 5 minutes, I was ready to punch a guy in the face. I mean, he was just very crotchety, very insulting, told me I don't have a unique business, and just went on. And I'm like, dude, what is your deal? Well, they called the session back in. We took our seats at the tables in the conference room. And this guy gets up on stage, and I'm like, what? But that was the first time that I saw past his outer skin and looked into the brilliance that was Dan Kennedy. Yeah, maybe, he's very sarcastic. Maybe he's, a little insulting. But he gets to the point, gets, to the heart of the matter, and quickly changes your your perceptions
Yep.
of how marketing is supposed to be.
Yep.
And I think every entrepreneur needs a Dan Kennedy story.
Well, I mean, look, he is one of the most influential marketing consultants, experts, advisors, for entrepreneurs probably in the history of the world. I mean, his influence on entrepreneurs is in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And the number of entrepreneurs that he's turned into self-made millionaires and multimillionaires, it's a long, long list of people. And the reason he's done that is because the advice that he gives, well, it works. And like you, Rob, I was 24. I was 23 when I started my business. And a year into my business, I discovered Dan Kennedy. And I received the No BS marketing letter. And I did the free 3-month trial. The most incredible free gift ever is what they called it at the time. And I remember the first issue of the newsletter I got. I literally, I was working out of my bedroom. So my desk was in my bedroom. And I remember closing the door to the bedroom, and I sat down at my desk, and I just turned everything off for 2.5 hours. And I read the newsletter from the front cover to the very back cover. And when I was done, I had my highlighter, I had underlined, I had dog-eared pages, and I had 5 or 6 things that I was going to do to market my business in the next month. And, I think they called it a seminar in every issue. And it was. And boy, if I look back at the business that we've built over the last 12 years, Dan Kennedy's fingerprints are all over that business through the advice and the wisdom that I've learned from him. It's incredible.
And I think if it wasn't for Dan Kennedy, I wouldn't be the author or the writer that I am today. And I looked at the concepts, the procedures, everything that he was doing. They all had a book. They all made him the authority in what he was doing. And I thought, I got to do that. I want to be that person. And, for, I think it was good 15 years, I struggled to figure out how to do that. And, over the last 20 years or the last 5 years, I've produced, 20 books, but, people are like, wow, that's just phenomenal. How are you doing that? You make it look so easy. That's not easy. It took me 20 years to be able to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
But Dan Kennedy was that inspiration that I always thought about, when I'm trying to, do what I'm doing and helping clients, because it just, and I think I still have the cockiness and the arrogance, and people are like, boy, you're that guy. You're that guy sitting at the table. And, it's like looking at a mirror, because I've become Dan Kennedy.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, the one thing that Dan Kennedy taught me that was so foundational, and it's probably what he taught you and tens of thousands of others, is that when you start a business, your number one job is to be a marketer of the business, not a doer of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nobody that cares about growing the business more than you, the owner. So, you can hire salespeople, you can hire marketing people. And if you delegate everything to them and think they'll do it just as effectively as you're probably wrong. And if you don't embrace this idea that you're a marketer of your thing, not a doer of your thing, whatever the thing that your business does is, you're probably not going to make it over the next few years. You're probably not going to make it to 1 million. You certainly won't make it to 10 million, and so on down the line. So what I learned from Dan Kennedy was that I had to be a marketer of the business first and foremost, and everything else you can hire people to help you with. But if you don't make marketing your number one concern, then your business's days are probably numbered.
Yeah, and I see it a lot. I mean, my first business, I crashed and burned. My second business lasted 20 years. I sold that, and the guy who bought the business crashed and burned it in 2 years. He didn't use any of the marketing that I used to create the business. He didn't do anything. And it was hard to watch him, destroy what I created in 20 years.
Yeah.
Painful. But here you are now in a position where, you've created your publishing company, you've done great things. Then you had the opportunity to step in and, buy this GKIC, the No BS Inner Circle, the whole team. But how did that come about?
Well, as I said, I've been a product of the product for the last 12 years. And like you, I saw the quality of the offering decline and dwindle in value over the last, let's call it 5 or 6 years. And, for anybody that's a member of the No BS Inner Circle and has been a member for some time, they've seen a lot of change and a lot of transition. The people that I've met through No BS, the friends that I've built, the business that I've done with members of No BS, it's significant. So I always had a very special place in my heart for it. And Dan and I had continued to do work together. He had published a few books with Advantage. He had recommended a lot of his private clients work with Advantage to create their books. And Dan and I continued to be in close communication. And over the last few years, GKIC had lots of challenges. And there was an opportunity where a new owner may be able to come in. And so I raised my hand to say, hey, I'm interested. And the truth is, I'm sure other people raised their hand too. I don't know who else did. But ultimately, the organization that owned GKIC that wanted to sell it decided that they thought the plan that Advantage had for the business of how we could grow the business, how we could turn it into something significant once again, they believed in our plan the most. And so they decided to sell the business to us. And, on April 9th of this year, just some 2.5 months ago, we announced that we were the new stewards of the No BS Inner Circle. And I use the word steward for a reason, because this is a community with thousands and thousands of members all over the world. And yes, even though they're paying a fee for their membership, it truly is a community, not a company. And as somebody that has been a member of the community now for 12 years, I really see my job in leading the No BS Inner Circle as that of stewardship, not just a profit-seeking business person. I mean, make no mistake, we've got to create No BS Inner Circle so it's viable, it's profitable, it's compelling. But we also have to make sure we're building a community where entrepreneurs thrive and grow. And that's what I'm wholly focused on, as are the 110 people in our company.
I like that. You calling it yourself as a steward, and because GKIC is a marketing legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have decades and decades of marketing knowledge that needs to be passed on to the next entrepreneur, to the person that may eventually take over for you when you
That's right.
decide that you want to pass it on. And I think that with social media, we've gotten away from effective ways of writing copy. We've gotten away from effective ways of direct response. We've gotten away from doing bulk email,
Yep.
and people are like, well, what are you talking about? Mail? Who
Yeah.
gets mail anymore? And so you got all these people that for 20, 30 years were sending out, flyers and letters, and now you got social media coming around. People are like, I don't want to do that because social media is free, and this stuff, it costs me money. And I think what you're doing is you're really helping the marketers understand the concepts.
Well, thank you. I mean, listen, 25 years ago is when Dan Kennedy launched magnetic marketing. And of course, it's the flagship product of the No BS Inner Circle. Magnetic marketing has helped tens of thousands of entrepreneurs all around the world grow their business, attract new customers to their business. And really, the No BS Inner Circle is the community of entrepreneurs that used magnetic marketing and continue to use magnetic marketing principles in elevating and growing their business. And so to your point, yeah, it goes back to the reason I use the word steward. I believe, probably just like you, that entrepreneurs are the greatest force for good in the world. And I believe that a growing business is an incoming tide that lifts all boats. And the mission of our organization is to help entrepreneurs grow. And if we can spread the word of magnetic marketing and help entrepreneurs and small business owners understand how they can grow their business through better marketing, boy, the ripple effect that has, the impact that has on the world, it's big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of big, I noticed your whiteboard in the back, and it's huge. And you probably put all your ideas down, and like I like to do is when I help a company that's new, that's maybe been in the business for a while, they'll give me an idea that I'll use for another business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that's what you're doing back there, and a lot of the stuff that you put on the board there.
Yeah, I believe that the hardest job in business is thinking. And at first, that probably seems crazy for me to say. Thomas Edison famously said, thinking is the hardest job there is, and that's why we do such little of it. And, if you are the entrepreneur, if you are the leader of the business, you've got to be the chief thinking officer. You've got to be thinking about the future of the business, future products, future services, how you're going to surprise and delight your customers, what people you need to hire and recruit to work in your business to help grow, your business. And it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of business where you're fighting fires, where you're reacting to situations. And the more of that happens, the less time there is for thinking. So two entrepreneurs that everybody knows that I admire for different reasons. Of course, Steve Jobs of Apple. The one function in his business that he never delegated was marketing. A lot of people don't know that. Until he died, Steve Jobs chaired the weekly marketing meeting at Apple every single week. So Apple, which is the most valuable company in the world, the founder and CEO, the famous founder and CEO, still ran marketing up until the day he drew his last breath. another entrepreneur that I greatly admire is Bill Gates of Microsoft. And when Bill was CEO of Microsoft, every year he took 2 weeks off from work to do what he called a think week. And for that think week, he went out into a cabin in the woods. I'm sure it was a very nice cabin. But he didn't take anybody else with him. He went by himself. And for a full week, all he did was read and think about the future of Microsoft. And the reason I share those two anecdotes, and the reason it ties directly into the whiteboard behind me, is that the most important job for the entrepreneur is to think, to strategize, and to do it in solitude and with peace and quiet as much as you can. And so you have to work on your business, not in your business. That's a famous thing that we learned from Dan Kennedy. The more time you spend working on the business rather than in the business, the bigger and more successful and profitable your business will be. So yeah, the whiteboard behind me, if it indicates anything, it's that I never forget that my number one job is to think and to strategize. And when you have a whiteboard and some markers, it can be a lot of fun.
Well, I think you've become, not only, an e-hero on this podcast, but you've become a hero to many people around the globe with the whole GKIC now. I mean, you've become a household name in the entrepreneurial circles, and that's kind of, a big shoe to wear.
Well, there's no doubt, and we have a great responsibility on our shoulders, and we are going to work very hard to live up to that responsibility. And as I mentioned earlier, to give entrepreneurs a vibrant community that they can be a part of that helps grow them and helps grow their business.
So, whether or not they're an existing GKIC member or, they haven't ever experienced GKIC, what do they need to do?
So I would invite anybody listening to this podcast, if they're not currently a member of the No BS Inner Circle, to visit our website, which is nobsinnercircle.com. And when you visit the website, you can receive a free 2-month subscription to the No BS marketing letter, which, Rob, you and I both know is one of the most foundational marketing newsletters for entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. And for anybody that wants to see what it's like, see who this guy Dan Kennedy is, understand the value that we can provide, I would say to go to the nobsinnercircle.com website and learn about membership. The other thing I would say is magnetic marketing is the best product that I've ever seen in my life that helps entrepreneurs and small business owners understand how to improve the marketing in their business. And so if you go to nobsinnercircle.com, you can also learn more about magnetic marketing, which would be a phenomenal way for you to really get great value from our mentor, Dan Kennedy.
Now, I know Dan is into horses, and I think you're into horses too, because I saw a post. And well, do you guys share the same,
Well, we so we share. Dan and I both share a great love of antique automobiles.
Okay.
And when it comes to horses, I'm a big believer in having a bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan has a bucket list too. And of course, everybody probably knows of a bucket list, but just in case, this is, the list of all the things you want to do in your life before you hit the proverbial kick the bucket. And so one of my bucket list items was to visit the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes, which are the 3 legs of the Triple Crown. And in 2015, I went to the Preakness. In 2016, I went to the Kentucky Derby. And this year, just a week ago, in 2018, I went to the Belmont Stakes. And of course, we were lucky to see a Triple Crown winner in Justify. So while my love of horses probably isn't quite as grand as Dan's, we both have a love for doing really neat things. I'll say this, Rob. last that I checked, neither you nor I are cats, nor are any of your listeners, which means we don't have 9 lives. There aren't 8 dress rehearsals to get the last one right. This is the one life that we have. And so, if you live it right, then once is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to have goals. You've got to have ambition to do and accomplish great things. And you've got to make it fun too. And so for me, that's what that bucket list is all about, is having fun along the way.
And I think every entrepreneur should have on their bucket list, write a book.
Mm.
You just came out with a book.
I did. So the new book is titled Authority Marketing. And that is really what our company does and what our company has done for the last 12 years. You can find Authority Marketing if you go to Amazon and just type that in. But the big idea is that you as an entrepreneur have to take control of your destiny. You as an entrepreneur have to be a marketer of your thing, not a doer of your thing. We talked about that earlier. And you have to be the go-to guy or the go-to gal in whatever it is that you do. And when you write the book on the topic, you become a thought leader, you become an expert. In some way, you become a mini celebrity, and you become the person that everybody wants to work with. And of course, when you write a book, then that book creates a foundation for PR and media, for speaking opportunities, for lead generation, right? You and I have both used books as phenomenal lead generation tools, referral marketing tools too. So every entrepreneur needs to be an author, because every entrepreneur needs to be the authority on what it is that they and their company do.
And I also think, and I mentioned this in one of my books called No Experience Necessary. I think that every entrepreneur should not only think about the now, but think about their legacy. What are they going to leave behind? And a lot of them only focus on the now. They don't focus on, what it is that they want to actually accomplish, what they want to, leave behind to the next person to take over. And, their legacy dies.
Yep. It's so true. And, our business at Advantage Forbes Books is helping our members share their stories, their passion, and their knowledge to help others learn and grow. And when you share your stories, passion, and knowledge in a book, yeah, you're marketing, but you're also marketing and helping all at the same time. And isn't that really cool that you can do both? And it's meaningful, it's joyful, it's fun. It's a way to leave a legacy. It's a way to have you and your business felt for many, many, many years to come.
This is why Adam is an EHero. And for everyone that's listening, please, visit his website, get all the different things that you can, if you want to take advantage of the 2 months, do it, because you are going to learn so much. I learned so much from Dan Kennedy. I learned so much from No BS. I learned so much, and I think that was the foundation I needed to, create everything that I'm doing now. So, maybe it's not going to work with you the first couple weeks, but it'll eventually sink into that brain, and you will start implementing things that you never thought was possible.
Yep.
So
to all of your entrepreneurial listeners, I say keep growing, and remember that you, the entrepreneur, have to be focused on acquiring new customers and keeping the customers you have. You have to be focused on that more than anybody else. And if you make that your top job, a growing business will become a result. There's no doubt about it.
But don't just take the marketing concepts that are out there. Learn to adapt them. Learn to create your own, and I think that's what's going to happen. At least for me, it did. I started to adapt what I was reading from Dan Kennedy, from others. And then I started creating my own stuff, my own style, my own personality, and it needs to fit you.
So true.
So thank you, Adam, for blessing us with your knowledge and sharing us with everything that you're doing. And I think GKIC is in great hands right now.
Rob, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And to all your listeners, keep growing.
And everybody out there, please visit Adam. Even go to his social media pages and take advantage of everything that they offer, because I think it's going to really help change your life. I know it did me. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next podcast.